listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit. I'm not really here. I'm talking to you from the past. Yeah. I hate it. I love doing live shows. It's as simple as that. It's what I do. I like doing it, and I don't like it when I don't get to. Anger, rage. Right. So here's some anger and rage. So, I never really liked the look of the 3.2 raid content. I think I made that abundantly clear. And I made certain predictions. For instance, I claimed that the 3.2 the 3.2 PvE raid content was lackluster. I claimed that it was rushed. I claimed that it was a half-assed job. I claimed that it was a stopgap. I also expressed concerns about its level of difficulty and the fact that they were artificially limiting the number of bosses you could do every week in a vain effort to make the game last a bit longer. Look what happened. Within a week, indeed within a couple of hours of the hard modes being unlocked, everything was dead. All of it. The whole lot. World first by Paragon, the EU guild, on Anubarak heroic mode. World second by Stars, and no doubt a couple of other guys as well have managed it. That is absurdly quick. We know that these guys are good, but come on. I mean, this was like hours after they were unlocked. That's absurd. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, I didn't think they'd be that easy, but evidently they are. Right, so there's a couple of statements that I've got to read here. The first is from Stars. We know Stars. They managed the world first legit kill of Yogg plus 0, which they will attest, no doubt, was an incredibly hard fight and took them a very long time to learn. So one would think that the hard modes of this, particularly now that you're introducing a mode called Heroic, which is all hard modes, all the time, 24/7, girls and booze, you know how it goes. You'd think that if they're going to bring that into the game, they would make sure it was extra hard, just to keep people going. I mean, how hard can it be to put together a difficult fight? You managed plenty in Ulduar hard modes that were really challenging, and indeed Ulduar has had universal acclaim amongst the larger and more cutting-edge guilds. And for me as well, I always said that it's a great instance. The only problem was there was only one of them. That's just how it is. So here's a statement from Stars, and they said this. Receiving it, and obviously this is a translation from Chinese, so you'll have to bear with me. Receiving it 6 days and facing bosses 1 day later than EU for such a small patch, this is all we have. We already tried our best. World second is world second no matter what. We won't spend a lot of words on it. Instead, we have our 2 cents to give to Blizzard. We totally understand why different regions get the patch on different days, which is absolutely worthy if most players can have better game experiences with less bugs. However, Blizzard, please do make the hard mode really hard, so players from all regions have a chance to fight. By hard we mean challenging the unknown, rather than farming something that's already been killed. Distinguishing top guilds by their farming capacity is just not the right way to go. In addition, we would really appreciate it if you bring the PTR to Taiwan. Everything we got belongs to all WoW players who can speak Chinese. Ni hao is enough. No matter if you are on the server of China, Taiwan, EU or US. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you Blizzard for making such a great game, and Softworld International for bringing it to Taiwan. Hope WoWers on the Chinese servers can enjoy Wrath of the Lich King soon. Don't worry, we only had 2 soul stones. We are the stars. Yeah, that was a little bit of controversy that was going on. Apparently, Paragon used like 6 soul stones or something like that. Yeah, well, whatever. You do what you can to win. I've never been an opponent of using the game mechanics as they were intended. We had the same bitching about world buffs, for God's sake. They used world buffs there, not a real world first, half-daff. Yeah, we can do without that. I'm not going to complain. You do what you can for a world first. You use all the tools that are available to you. That's how it works. That's how it should work, at any rate. If you don't, then you're idiots. It's as simple as that. Anything that's within the rules, anything that is not overly exploitive. I'm sure there'll be discussion on that, but that's not something I personally would like to engage in. That's my be-all and end-all on the matter. So, there's a couple of things that I'd like to take from that statement. First thing, they don't have the PTR in Taiwan, which means unless they're getting access to the EU or US PTR with an EU or US account, they managed to get world second on a Nubarak hard mode without practicing. That's impressive stuff. If that's true, and they never had access to a PTR, that is really, really impressive. That's very cool of them. So, yeah, congratulations if that is actually the case. The second point is that they want the hard modes to be really hard. Now, what they mean by having players from all regions having a chance to fight is that regardless of the amount of extra time that certain regions get, say the US get the patches and indeed all of this stuff before EU does, yeah? Because the US maintenance is a day before the EU, so they get their reset first, which means that they get the advantage if they're going for a world first. This has always been the case. So, if you have a boss that is killed on the first week that it's unlocked, then the chance of getting a world first, if you are not in one of those countries, is astronomical. I do not know when the Taiwan resets are. That was not specifically stated. It's... yes, 1 day later than the EU, according to this. That means that the resets in Taiwan must be on a Thursday night, as in midnight Thursday onwards. So the servers will be back up by Thursday morning. So yeah, the EU gets 1 day ahead of them, and the US gets 2. Okay. So Taiwan basically never had a chance on this boss. None of the Taiwanese guilds had a chance, because it was so easy, relatively speaking. I'm not saying that it's a really easy fight and I could just log in right now with a couple of random scrubs and beat it. No. I'm talking about relatively speaking. As in comparison to Yogg plus 0, or even maybe Firestarter or something like that. In comparison to that, it was easy enough for a guild to bulldoze it on the first day that it was available. Now, don't ask me where the US guilds were. Apparently unable to beat it on the first day. That's odd. Maybe they just didn't have the time, who knows. Or maybe they just didn't pull it off. But Paragon did, who are an EU guild. Now, I agree with them. Because on stuff like Yogg plus 0, Taiwan was able to get a world first on the merit purely of their skill, and not because they got access to Yogg plus 0 before the other guys. It's a better contest for everybody, and that includes those who aren't even involved in it, because it's good to spectate, if it goes on for longer. Because you get a number of guilds enter the fray and shoot for that world first, and it becomes more thrilling. This is probably the most lackluster, and this is not taking away from the achievements of Paragon or Stars or anyone else that's managed it by now. This has been the most lackluster world first kill that no one has cared about in the history of WoW. Okay, I'll take that back and say it's been the second most lackluster kill. The first most lackluster kill was Nax 25. Nobody cared about that. The only thing that people cared about there is, oh, they cleared all of Wrath content in 3 days, this is a problem. There was no celebrating going on there. But I've never seen such a lackluster response, and that is endemic of the fact that it is a lackluster instance. It's a lackluster design. It's a filler. It really is. Pretty much everything about that instance is lazy. We've already come to that conclusion. I don't think you can really argue about that. Now you can come around and try and defend Blizzard on it all you want, but it doesn't benefit you to do so. It doesn't benefit you to reward them or even give them a passing vote of acceptance on bad content. It's good for everyone if you've got good quality content. Even those who never touch the hard modes. You want varied, challenging fights in varied, great-looking locales. Neither of those happened. You did not get great-looking locales, you got a bloody arena. Stone walls. A big circle on the floor. You did not get a bunch of challenging and varied bosses. You got a bunch of reused models. And it really was as well. You got an updated Nubarak model, and basically everything else was a reused model. Nothing new there at all. Northrend Beasts. Reskinned freaking Jawmanga worms. Indeed.
Not one, but two Jawmanga worms.
Yes, not one, but two reskinned Jawmanga worms. And a Yeti, which is just bigger than usual, and a whatever the hell those things are, I can't remember. Magnators, that's the one. And you had a Eridar. Yeah, we've never seen an Eridar before, and you have two Valkyrs. Yeah, we've seen Valkyrs, that they're exactly the same. Well, we had a Nubarak, who we've also seen before, and had minor updates done to his model, if that, and I don't even remember what the other fight was, it was so damn forgettable. That's it. That's what we get. Reused art assets. Reused everything. How appalling. And apparently, reused mechanics, or at least mechanics that are so easy to comprehend and understand that even the hard mode of the last boss goes down in under a day. Artificial limitations being put in place, gating being used there to poor effect, to stop the instance being cleared in a day. Because, let's be honest, guys, those guilds could have. They could have cleared it in a day. And how embarrassing would that be? And Blizzard knew it. They knew these guilds could clear it in a day. They saw it on the PTR. They could not possibly not have known. Even if you just objectively looked at the encounters in comparison to the stuff that we've had before, looked at the mechanics, and just said, there is no way this is going to stop anybody who has beaten Yogg Zero, or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. Anyone could understand that. Unless the design team behind the dungeons is borderline incompetent, they are going to understand how that works. And I don't believe they are borderline incompetent at all. We've seen a lot of fantastic work from them. I feel that there are other things going on here. I feel there was pressure from somewhere to get some filler content up, and do it quick. And they threw something together. And maybe whoever is in charge of dividing the resources between the various different projects within the company, maybe they screwed up. Maybe whoever was making this instance was simply undermanned and they didn't have enough time. I'm not going to blame them. I'm sure they tried hard. But the chances are they were put in a situation where they were unable to produce something worth playing. And that hurts them. And it's an acknowledgement, with putting that gating system in, that they knew it at the end of it. They knew it. They knew it was not going to stand up against the test, and indeed, having thousands upon thousands of great guilds hammering on it. It would not have stood up. It's not up to that standard. It's not a perfectly balanced set of encounters. It's not a wonderfully nuanced design with multiple layers of complexity. It's just dull. It's just thrown and hashed together. Now, I had a contact here from a member of Insidia, and I'm not going to name the name just in case he doesn't want me to. I'm sure if he wants me to, he will send me an email, and I can name him on the next show. This is a member of Insidia, and this is from his point of view, and he says, well, from my point of view, it feels like, and this is in reference to the Coliseum, a complete gear reset in a filler instance. There was nothing really all that hard in the zone, apart from a Nubarak hard mode. And he just became a lot harder, because now apparently you can no longer keep AoE stunning the ads in Phase 3 with Paladins. Too bad this was only noticed and fixed after 2 kills had already used this method. I kind of don't see the point in resetting every piece of gear this early after Old War, but I guess Ice Crown is still in production. The dev team is probably hoping to make a near-perfect instance to make up for everything else in Wrath. I certainly hope so. I hope that's what they're doing. I hope that's their justification. Because I can't think of any other justification that I personally would like to put out there as Blizzard and not just get called on and torn apart on. It's unfortunate to have to say, this is quoting another show, this is quoting Octel from another show. Why do we always have to have the Dark Ages in order to reach the Renaissance? I could not agree more with that sentiment. Wrath the Lich King, that's the Dark Ages. Cataclysm, looking at it at the moment, from hearing everything that Blizzard's had to say so far about Cataclysm, that's the Renaissance. That's the remake. That is the, not so much the relaunch, but the revitalization of the game. That's what I want to see. And to be honest, I just want to write all of this off. Maybe they could come up with a great instance for Icecrown, maybe not. I hope so. We'll see. But I think we can conclude, and this is what the guilds are saying, that the Coliseum was garbage. Utter garbage. Filler. And nothing more. My name is Total Biscuit. This is Blue Please here on WoW Radio. You think I'm angry? You ain't seen nothing yet. Ask the Murloc. Enjoy.
Ask the Murloc.
To sleep. Perchance to dream. Hey, there's the rub. For in that sleep of delicious death, what dreams may come. When I have shuffled all the peasants of this mortal coil, must give us all their pickles. There's the respect that makes calamity of their so-called lives. What? Who are you? How dare you disturb my musings? Oh, it's you, peasant folk. Is it really that time of the week again? The rigours of superiority. Fine, I suppose I should grace you with knowledge most arcane. What's this? Paper nonsense again? What, you are all too cowardly to ask your questions directly? You incompetent excuses for morons. How hard could it possibly be to record your questions on your microphonic device and email it to the Murloc@gmail.com? No, the Murloc will not teach you how to use a computer. The Murloc's computing course, named I Am Vastly Superior on Computers Than You, is available in 65 overwhelmingly complex lessons for only 15,000 gold. There are no free samples. You pilfering peons waste my time with your nonsense. Ask your piffling questions at once. Yes. Dear Murloc, can you tell me the best spec for a mage? Troll, next question. Dear Murloc, I've been hearing a lot about Recruit a Friend, but I'm not sure how it works. Can you help me? Ah, yes, Recruit a Friend, one of the finest money-grubbing schemes ever to cross the table of the Blizzard marketing department. Truly a corporation after my own heart. A few more years and they may even have amassed a fraction of the wealth I possess, at which point I will buy them and turn their employees into wallpaper paste. What do you mean that would be an inefficient waste of perfectly good slave labour? Do not question the Murloc's indulgences, lest ye become one yourself. Recruit a Friend is somewhat disingenuous, but Blizzard felt that forcefully conscripting a friend would not play well on the American markets. All about their so-called freedoms over there. I always loved free-range human flesh. So tender, so sweet. And with all the chemicals they stuff themselves with on a daily basis, it stays good for years in the pantry. To successfully recruit a friend, kidnap them while they sleep. I find a mixture of dream dust and crippling poison works best for this. Makes the target more compliant, less irksome. Strap them to a chair in front of the computer and threaten to eat their fingers unless they level their character with you. If they refuse, carrying out your threat could cause them difficulty in playing, but that problem can easily be avoided by forcing them to roll a Death Knight. If your friend still refuses to cooperate, then implement the following surefire procedure. Step 1. Apply the friend's face to the keyboard. Step 2. Set up an elaborate and thoroughly unnecessary pair of alternating guillotines, either side of your friend's head. Step 3. Activate the guillotine so that your friend is forced to roll his face back and forward on the keyboard in order to avoid gruesome decapitation. Step 4. Collect your emblems of conquest. Now, let's see here. What other pathetically simple questions have you vomited forth from that bucket of slop you call a brain? Dear Murloc, are you in fact the reincarnation of the Chaos God Tzeentch? Reincarnation would imply that Tzeentch, yes, died to begin with. Yeah. Tzeentch is in fact alive and well and living in a small village in the Cotswolds. I know this because I spoke to him just yesterday. Why did he move to the Cotswolds instead of simply living for all eternity and beyond in magical, incomprehensible realms of chaos? Turns out he fancied a change. What? My humour is beyond your mere mortal understanding. Right. One more and then it's off with the lot of you. You defiled my dwelling for far too long. Dear Murloc, please explain to me what is going to happen to the Booty Bay when the cataclysm arrives. Well, naturally it will flood and everybody will die horribly, except for me. For you see, I have had my servants build an ark, and upon this ark I shall put 2 of every non-combat pet. Then when the waters subside and society begins to rebuild itself from the ashes, I will sell them to morons on the auction house for all the gold in Azeroth. At which point I shall build a second ark, put in 2 of every moron, and then sink the damn thing in the middle of the maelstrom. Ha ha!
Ask the milk.